Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Impossible Live. Welcome if you're joining us for the very first time. And today you are in for another extraordinary treat as Deborah joins us today. And want to raise a glass, as we both did, to thank amazing Bryn Tillman of Social Sales Link and Ask SSL for introducing us to Deborah. We want to welcome you and thank you for joining us and let us know where you're from. And let's also learn a little bit about the magic of Deborah. Deborah, please let our guests know, our live guests, our replay guests, our future YouTube guests, our many guests, let them know about the magic of wonderful Deborah. And warm welcome to Impossible Live.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I don't know that I could actually introduce myself any better than you just did. I mean, total love fest. You're amazing. Bryn's amazing. And we were talking before we went live. Isn't it great when amazing people bring people together? Because why wouldn't we bring people together? Why wouldn't we be our best selves for our best people? Okay, now you're rubbing off on me, my friend. I'm Deborah Eckerling. I am a goal strategist, book proposal specialist, award-winning author, award-winning podcaster. Basically, I love to talk and inspire. I created the Deb Method, which is my system for goal setting simplified. And I am the author of Your Goal Guide and 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. And for my latest book, I interviewed 60 awesome people and said, what is your secret? Because the secret to success is there is no one secret. All we can do is see what's out there, mix and match, and figure out what's best for us. So that is the very short version of me. What else do I want to say? Oh, and I host 4 podcasts because apparently 2 isn't enough. I do Goal Chat Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and I go live with a panel on the topic of the week. And unless it's on purpose, my guests don't know each other, which is always kind of fun. And I host the Taste Buds with Deb podcast, which is bite-sized conversations about food, cooking, and community. And because I didn't have enough to do, one of my other specialties is helping nonfiction authors, experts, entrepreneurs, executives get ideas out of their head onto the page to create a proposal for their nonfiction book. And I noticed there was no book proposal podcast, so I created one. So I've got that as well. And Goal Chat and Book Proposal Podcast are part of the Marketing Podcast Network. And I do a show for them. I co-host the MPM Meta Marketing show, where we basically, Keith Smith and I, he's my co-host, basically talk about all the awesome shows and topics. So that is me. I am here on a mission to change goal culture in and out of the workplace. I believe goals are the secret to everything, because if you find something you love in your life and you lean into that, you do more of that, it makes everything else better. How's that?
That is beyond amazing. And Deborah, want to give a warm welcome and a shout out to Amalia Gardner of Audio Leadership Club. Fantastic rock star woman in it with uh she makes my smiles across the miles seem impossible because Amalia just radiates grace just as Deborah did. And a warm welcome to Milton Corsi. Milton, you are missed. Thank you for some social sales link. Ask SSL in the house. And Milton has a podcast. He's doing live streams. If you're on LinkedIn, as Shel Shapiro always says, look to the left, look to the right, check our amazing guests out. And if you haven't had a chance, please say hi and introduce yourself. But Deborah's got, I am I'm laughing because I just ordered a couple of books recently and they're coming. And Meryl Cass, warm welcome. Woo! Meryl in the house. Lots of amazing, fabulous energy. We love you too, Amalia. And just want to say thank you for y'all joining us. But Deborah's got 2 really amazing books behind her. And I laugh because part of our Do You Value Your Difference, I was thinking about the deep dive. into ingredients and elements and styles. And Deborah says the yellow book is full of the original recipe of Deb. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, and I do say original recipe, Deb, that is Goal Setting Simplified. And I love this book. It came out in January 2020. So 6 weeks before the world had changed by circumstance, out came my book, designed to help people embrace change by choice or by circumstance. So the first half of the book goes through Deb, and Deb stands for determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. So determine your mission. You can't get what you want unless you know what that is. So it's important to gift yourself time to figure out where you are, where you want to go, but most importantly, your mission statement and your motto, because that is your map, that is your compass through your goal journey. E is explore your options. So, okay, you know what you want out of this life, but what does that mean? Do you want to be a thought leader? Are you creating a business, a side hustle? You want to be top in your field, Forbes 40 under 40, Forbes 40 over 40. But what are you going to do to get there? So this is the research, education, but also connection phase, because look at what you want to do and then see who in your life is doing it. So I have those conversations so you can really hone in on those goals. And then B is brainstorm your path. Okay, you want to do the things, write everything out, get it out of your head onto the page, and then divide and conquer. Divide out your personal and your professional goals, short-term, long-term. Make a plan, because action items lead to benchmarks. Benchmarks lead to achieving those short-term goals, which all go into those long-term goals. So that's the first half of your goal guide. And then the second half is strategies for success. And it's really, which is basically all of my new book, 52 Secrets, is strategies for success, learning from others. But this I love because it's like all brainstorming and worksheets. But most importantly, and I said this before, it's about gifting yourself the time to figure out what you want, to make a plan for your future. The other thing that I always have to add is if you are blessed, like Melanie and I are, to do what you love full time, that is great. But if your life, maybe you can't leave your job. Maybe you like your job, you don't love it. Find the things that you love to do and see if you could do more of that in your job, and or start a side hustle or a passion project or just a something, anything. It could be a hobby. It could be a personal goal, something that's going to elevate you and make you feel good, because that is going to impact every other part of your life. So that is the Deb method and your goal guide kind of rolled into one.
That's amazing. And especially from an inspirational part, I always am talking about our fragile world. And as we're welcoming, amazing Christy and Sean and Meryl and Amalia and Milton, we want to thank y'all all for being here, and everybody else who hasn't had a chance to say hi yet. One of the things I love about the conversation I had with Deborah that kind of led to inviting her to On Possible Live was that Deborah was talking about goals, and I keep cracking up. As I was saying to Deborah, the universe, whenever I think I'm slightly allergic to a word, so I used to be allergic to the word pivot. I was allergic to the word empower. I was allergic to the word goals because I think it's better to have objectives and to search out opportunities. But I love that Deborah is teaching me in the recipe, the reminder, keep mixing up our recipes, because part of it leads back to whether we actually do have the confidence, the belief, the interest. And I think sometimes in really letting others know our impact, keys to our influence, which really Deborah's magic at like letting it out and doing it so clearly. She reminds me of amazing Amalia with that, Amalia Gardner. It's not something all of us possess. I had the opportunity. Hey, Lisa, warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Monday, beautiful Lisa. Also, I had the opportunity to see Christy, and Christy and I had been in LinkedIn audio rooms for a while. We hadn't really shared the same space. And I had a chance to see her in a live stream in Christy, I think it was Jackie Haller's room. And Christy just like leaped out. And I think some of us don't have that out of the starting gate. We miss that lesson in the lesson book, or we miss the invitation to show up as our most confident self, or as Pam Sterling suggested years ago, as our brightest selves. You share that with such amazing energy. And Merrill saying it, and you should see all the beautiful hearts. But Merrill saying, love Deborah Eckerling's passion and positive energy. The Deb method. Definitely. So Deborah, for Amalia saying keep mixing up our recipes. And Deborah, for those who might have missed the Deb method part, tell us that part again so we can slow it down and grasp it for those who are driving or listening on headphones at the office, or they're jogging or doing something cool outdoors, walking beautiful fur babies. What exactly is the Deb method, and how did you come up with it?
Well, so many questions. That's okay. I have so many answers.
Sorry, I'm a teacher's kid. The questions always come. Felipe
I
Tofino said
believe
it the
me.
other day. They
I have
always come. Mm-hmm.
I have all of the answers, but I love going back to what you said, like at the beginning of this little bit. Um, People think of goal as a 4-letter word. I mean, it is. It's just a 4-letter word, but it's the good kind. And it is about objectives, and it is about intentions. And I talk to people all the time. They say, I don't have goals. I have intentions. Great. Guess what? You have goals. I don't have goals. I have objectives. Guess what? You have goals. And that's why, and when I teach the D and the Deb method, that's the most important letter. Well, D, Deb method, whatever, because that is the foundation. And that is the big thing. Actually, the Deb method is foundation. And I am super judgy, about other goal experts, which ties into how the Deb method came about, because I had been leading goal groups for years. It was the thing that I also did. And my background business-wise is project management and communication. So everything kind of flows together. But I was leading these goal groups, and people would say, you're good at this. I've been trying to write my book for years. Can I hire you? And we got it done in 3 months. Or, Deb, you're good at this. Will you come speak at my event? So that's kind of how it developed more of a thing that I love that I did to this. 2018, my main communications client was going away. And so I'm like, okay, opportunity to really step into what I believe I was meant to do, which is help people figure out what they want and how to get it. And my mom said to me, you hate SMART goals. Why don't you create Deb goals? And my name worked perfectly with what I've been teaching for years. And to clarify, I don't hate, I'm air quoting, for those who are listening, I don't hate SMART goals, but SMART goals are a tool. They're not the be all end all. They will help you get there. Sort of like we have all these AI conversations right now. AI is a tool. It is not going to make your life happen for you, but if you have a problem, you need some information, some knowledge, great, utilize it. You can't lean on it like you can't lean on SMART goals. So back to answering your question. Deb stands for determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. So D, determine your mission. Can't get what you want unless you know what that is. And that starts with visualization. When you think about the life you want, what does that look like? And that is the first piece for setting any goals. Then take an inventory, write your current bio, and then write your future bio. Do you remember when people used to say, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Now it's like, where do you see yourself in 1 year or 2 years? That seems like a long time. So you could decide for your future bio, is it the end of this year? Is it a year from now? Is it by your next birthday? But what do you want that to be saying about you? And the other thing about the future bio, to give it power, is you want to write it in the present tense but in the third person. So you are writing it as if it's a magazine article about you, about life that is true for you in the near or far future, depending on your math. And from there, because you've taken the inventory, you know what you want, you know where you are, you know where you're going, then you can write that mission statement, which combines who you are, what makes you unique, and how you help. And that help piece, that is your fuel. Because we not in here to help others? Yes, that is our purpose, is to raise our voice, to be ourselves, to create, to offer a service, to impact and improve the lives of others. And because your mission statement is typically long and clunky, then we modify it into a motto. So my goal mission statement is to use my background, experience, methodology, books, podcasts to help as many people as possible figure out what they want and how to get it to live a better life so they can in turn help others do the same. Very long, very clunky. My motto is goal setting simplified. So everything that I create, and this also applies to when I'm working with my nonfiction book clients, it's simplified. I made the instructions really easy because changing your life, creating a project, doing the thing is complicated enough. So I made the instructions really easy. So that is the D. And when you figure out, so that's the first step in figuring out the foundation for your goals. But then you've got your compass. So as the opportunities come your way, you can say, is this in alignment with my motto? Is this something I should do? And then if the answer is yes, then go for it. If the answer is no, then you get to ask yourself a second question, which is there another benefit for this? It's like your personal decision tree. So if it's a yes, then yes. If it's a no, then okay, is there another benefit? If it's a yes, then yes. And if it's a no to both questions, you need to decide, is this worth my time and energy?
Oh, I love that because I'm a fan of alignment and realignment. But I love that you're suggesting we add the curiosity to it. And as Amalia is saying, in terms of exploring it, she loves the idea of writing a future bio. And she really enjoyed the exercise of writing a future letter to herself. And she could see this being just as inspirational. What I love, Amalia, is I finally added a letter to Mel as a chapter in the book. And I appreciate it because I'm saying the book because Deborah's reminding me. And as I've bought about 4 books this week. There are a bunch of adoring authors who I adore. So Felipe Cofino has a book, and Dr. Marcia, who I met in Amalia's amazing community, has a book, and Ronnie Cypress Jackson has a book, and Roshni Sharma Fleming has a book. I bought 4 books in a week after closing my eyes to the bags of amazing books that are existing because I bought them for different purposes. But the real reminder in the process of supporting people I love, voices I love, and Barbara Ann, thank you so much for popping in. Barbara Ann, need you to give me a ring soon. Just need to hear your amazing voice. I had the opportunity to hang out a little bit with Amalia and with Sean this morning in Amalia's office hours. And it's a real reminder in the do you value your difference? Thank you, Amalia. It's coming, I promise. But I think in this process of do you value your difference, a reminder when Deborah comes back is to invite Deborah to come back. And maybe Amalia will talk about do you value your voice? Because underneath the bio, and I'll say it from an amazing invitation from a wonderful mental fitness coach, Denise Hinden, introduced me a couple of years ago to an ideal future client. And I needed to write a bio that was not the typical Mel bio. I tried a little bit of what you said, writing the bio to the future Mel, to at the time I thought I was about to become a certified mental fitness coach, and I decided instead to pursue becoming a certified trust coach. So, certified in trust styles, working with trusted leaders. This project of, and I was speaking to Deborah about it before we started, this process of working on advanced trusted leader certification. It's it's a it's a challenge sometimes. We get stuck in the webs. And one of my early business coaches, Joe Hoffman, used to say, it's a matter of casting webs, but it feels like it. When we explore value, we don't always see self value. We don't always see our legacy. We don't always see our path. And I think that's one of the things I love about Deborah's reminder in her second book about the secrets, because I think sometimes that path is hidden and we don't see it unless we run into exceptional people who help us light it up, or people who are like, I treasure this about you. This is important to me. This is your impact. This is how you made a difference in my life. You made a difference in my step. And I think I bought a bunch of books this week because of an amazing thread where someone's like, "Oh, tell me some resources. I need some goodies to read." And you know what? I have to thank Elijah Drown because of you. I bought 4 books the next week because of Lachelle Atkins, America's Supermom. I bought 4 books. But I think, as Amalia says she needs the 52 secrets for goal setting, Deborah, and she sees it in the back. We'll find out from Deborah later during her podcast or her lives. Also, how to get autographed copies, because that's become a new thing of mine lately. One of my early mentors used to go to the book show at the Javits Center, and she used to always come back with a book and have it autographed for me. Hello, Leanna. Welcome. How are you? Leanna is joining us. Welcome to Impossible Live. And thank you for popping in to join us. Let us know where you're from.
And I should say, if there are any Angelinos, so we're recording this. This is September 15th. Oh my goodness, how is it September? But on the 18th, I'm doing an event in Los Angeles. So if there are any locals, I will put the link in the chat later. We're doing a literal fireside chat. It's me and one of the achievers in the book, celebrity chef Katie Chen, and just it's like a book event mixer all in one, because I say this all the time, and I always say this at the beginning of Goal Chat: you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So if you're a local, also, if you're commenting, please connect with me on LinkedIn, because for the same reason, my community is your community. What is it? Mi casa su casa. Mi community is su community. It does not roll off the tongue as well. But that is the point of why we do everything, is because we might not have the answer, but when you have a tribe, all the people who have you can get the answer if you don't have it. Or, I'm looking to do this with my life. Deb, who do you know who does this? And if I don't know, I will know someone else who knows, because that's how my tribe rolls. Going back to the owning your difference, owning your value thing, I love that. And that's really, when you're writing your current and your future bio, lean into that, because it's going to be inspirational for you. You know what you're working towards, but you also want to show up as that person. Like, now, whenever I'm working with a book client or speaking on book proposals, I say, congratulations, you are the king or queen or empress or whatever title you want of your subject matter. You are the authority on this. As soon as you own it, then you can put the rest of the pieces together of this book that you're trying to create. But you need to own it and be it and live it and breathe it, because that is what gets you noticed. And the other side thing I should mention, and I love that we're doing so much talking about books, is I love that in this day and age, and I self-published my first 2 books, and I traditionally published these 2 most recent, you can get your ideas out there. But this is the secret that maybe people aren't telling you. Agents and publishers, they're looking for good nonfiction books to sell. There are plenty of good reasons to go a hybrid or self-publishing first, but I believe, and this is really what happened, how your Goal Guide got out in the world. I had self-published 2 books, and I met an agent, and this was right when I was becoming the Deb Method, doing that rebranding. And he said, "What is your goal?" And I said, "To be the first person people think of when they hear the word goal." So he said, "Why don't you try the traditional route, go more mainstream, send me your book proposal." So I wrote a book proposal, and the puzzle of the book proposal is very similar to the puzzle of figuring out your life. So I've lately been leaning into that specialty as well. If you have an idea, when you create this roadmap, it's going to set you up for success no matter how you decide to get your ideas out in the world. But that first step is to own your expertise. You are the number one of the thing. I mean, Melanie is clearly trust girl, woman, whatever we're calling her, that her superhero, superpower. Lean into that. When you accept and embrace who you are becoming or who you are, that's the other way that the opportunities are going to find you.
I love it because Amalia is saying you need to own it. It's a reminder she needed. And Carol saying own it first. Yes, that was a powerful nudge. As we're owning it, Deborah, and I have to say this from the perspective of bios, I now probably have 10 different versions of the bio. And possibly because of the invitations to start profiles like on in Amalia's amazing community, the Audio Leadership Club, or shortening a bio for a profile on Substack, which I have a Substack, although I haven't used it or posted it yet, but the profile is there. So there's a different version of it. And I think Amalia encouraged me from the perspective of heartbeat, to shorten it and to play with a different bio. And I think I did this in the practice of trying to imagine an invitation that Leslie Flowers had given me. Imagine the book bio on the inside of your book cover. And warm welcome, Leslie Flowers. Speaking of amazing authors and people and the energy in the house. When you have a chance later, please check. Hi, Americo. Thank you all for popping in. And Meryl, thank you for shouting us out to the amazing world. My question is for you, Deborah, in terms of book proposals and the invitation to create a bio. How many different versions? Because we have us, the current us. We have the I'm dreaming of us. We have the I want to be. We have the I will be. In that process of creating a bio and writing bios to the future self, are we writing to ourself at the different states of evolution, the different metamorphosis? Or are we just writing for today's big, hairy, audacious goal or dream?
The answer is yes. You can write as many as you want, but I would start with you write the current one, but leaning into who you are becoming. It's very much like your LinkedIn profile. It's and even if you've got a day job, because I work with people who've got that, I write, how do I navigate the fact that I've got a day job, but I'm also working on this project? Well, your LinkedIn bio, have it mostly be what people know you for, but then put in a fun, unique fact towards the end that are going to get people talking. Mine says former non-cook because I didn't and it's former non-cook turned food writer turned award-winning food podcaster, which just always amuses me. But find a way to trickle. If it is not your everything that you are doing, you can still trickle in little teases of what you are, of who you are. For everybody else, you're the expert, you're the thought leader, you are building this you. Lean into all of the things. I mean, I do believe I am the goal setting expert because no one I've seen does foundational goal setting like I do. Everybody's talking about, oh, this is what you need to do to get there. You can't get there if you don't know where there is. So start with your current bio, leaning into it, and then your future bio it's just an amp up of that. So it's what you would read on a book cover or a profile of you in a magazine. Write it that way and then post it in your office. So you are looking at this future you. I say, put your mission statement and our motto, goal setting simplified is it's under the Deb method. It is ingrained in me anyway, but I see it everywhere anyway, because it is there. It's part of my branding. But I also have a list of, the future goals, what I'm working towards currently in future goals, future me, what I am working toward. And then that future bio. And like I said before, I have one for by the end of the year, but not just a bio, but what win do you want to be celebrating at the end of the year? What win do you want to be celebrating a year from now? And then you can just incorporate that win into your bio. Easy peasy. And I say it like easy. It's easy when you know what you want. So take the time to figure out what that is and let everything build from there.
I love that you're saying easy peasy. It reminded me of Jillian Whitney, and I want to thank her for that. She had easy peasy video when we was just starting to do lives, and I think it's the knack of what you're saying that, and I really appreciate this. I've been having some really deep conversations with amazing Kimberly Lechneck, who's been joining us for a Pockets of Peace series. The next part will be Trust Pockets of Peace. We had celebrations, Pockets of Peace. We had reflections, Pockets of Peace. We're really diving into, because in the beginning, in the old days, my mission was peace matters, the number four all, the number two all. It was the rose colored glasses version of the mission. And I appreciate it because now, as you say, as we evolve, and I really thank Sean for a comment he made that reminds me of that beautiful butterfly behind you, and reminds me of Nana who loved butterflies. The As we evolve, and I'm starting to think of as a mission, and Ignite Trust is definitely a Mel mission, but in terms of it being a mission for others, I'm starting to lean into cultivate trust in a fragile world, and cultivating trust, just the process. And I'm laughing because on Mondays, this was never the landscaping day in our development. So I'm cracking up as people are preparing for the holidays, and new companies, and they're evolving. But I think as we move, as we try and think of the tip what's on the tip, and sometimes it's not on the tip of our tongue. Sometimes we don't have the words. Sometimes we're not listening to the wonderful comments or shares others have about our legacies. Or as Kimberly saying she likes the idea of a future bio. We don't necessarily feel like we have the crystal ball.
But we do. This is what I'm saying. And that's why when you start with, okay, this is the life that I want, this is the mission, you might go in other directions, and that's fine, but who you are doesn't change. You are always going to have trust as part of your mission and motto. How it manifests itself, that's part of the exploration process. But there are some things we cannot control. You and I know this from a personal standpoint as well as professional standpoint. And on that note, the butterfly behind me was painted by my beautiful mother. And we're approaching the 1 year anniversary from her passing. It's not like she's not on my mind all the time, but I especially appreciate you calling out the butterfly. She would watch all of my live streams and she'd be like, Deb, we need to warm up your office space. Let's put up the butterfly. And so it's in all of the things that I do. I recently started doing courses for Madecraft, which is an e-learning platform, which I'm doing in my den. And it's a different one of my mother's pictures, oil paintings behind me. And so that connection, I think, find where your strengths are. And anybody who knows us, I am her mini me. I am the cheerleader for all because she was the cheerleader's cheerleader. I am completely rambling. My point is, own your life. She was one of those people who is an artist. Clearly, follow your passion. And my passion, and I'm very fortunate that I am very logic based, raised by a creative mother. So I get all of the fun. I get both playgrounds. So start with what you want to create for yourself. And then I've got this wonderful exercise. I call it the duct tape of problem solving or idea exploration, whatever you want, because you can literally use it for anything, whether you're trying to make a decision or figure out the next route, or even if you're writing something creative and you can't figure out the next plot point. So the E, and I get excited, clearly. The E is explore your options. And that's where you say, okay, I want this life. But what is this life that I want, right? How am I going to create this? And the first section is called direct journaling. And you can also use this if you're trying to figure out your mission statement or what you want your life to be. But basically, you schedule 3, 4, 5, 15-minute appointments with yourself, and you just answer a question or a related series of questions. And it could be simply, what's next? What am I going to do? Well, I have this idea, and this idea. Well, if I do this idea, this could happen, or this idea, that could happen. If you're trying to make a decision, oh, should I do this or this? Oh, well, this, blah, blah, this, whatever. So like I said, but for the purposes of this conversation, you know what life you want, but what are you going to create to make it happen? Do the exercise 3, 4 times over the course of a week. Don't read it until after you've gotten everything out of your head. Go through, read it once, and then read it again with either a highlighter or another notepad, and find your common themes. Because you're going to find something that you thought was just, oh, maybe is something that you talked about the entire time, when something else that you thought was a no-brainer, maybe you mentioned twice. Lean into what you're excited about, because putting that enthusiasm out into your project, it's going to manifest it that much sooner.
That is it is inspiring so much, and you reminded me, as Mike LeBlanc is joining us, I've had the pleasure of hanging out with him in different live streams or podcasts, as some like to call them, and had the pleasure of watching Mike live with Annie Osung on Friday. No accidents. At
None.
an amazing live on Man in the Mirror, one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. And Scott has a book coming out, Man in the Mirror. So it'll be the fifth book that I've bought recently. But in the process, I tuned in for the last 20 minutes. And I tuned in the day before we were going to see my dad's memorial for the first time. So I wasn't in my sunshiny, some call it toxic positivity. And honestly, there is no such thing as toxic positivity. Anytime you can bring joy with you, you can, as Kimberly and I love to talk about it in terms of pockets and peace, if you can find some joy, some humor, that is the best way this daddy's girl can honor my pop's legacy. I think the thing that caught me was Mike and I connected. Mike wrote me and shared during the Emmys last night. Mike, can't wait to have a chat with you in a couple of days. Mike wrote beautiful songs that I could possibly think of using as an intro or an outro for Impossible Live. There's a generosity that exists some and some beautiful spirits in our world. And we want to thank you for joining us, for popping in, for bringing that light. But I think the thing is, and Amalia is reminding me of it as we talk about it, our focus sometimes in our world is on the revenue as entrepreneurs, the fundraising as members of boards or committees. I'm fundraising for Fearless of the Hudson Valley. Next year, come hang out with me in Middletown, New York for the 40th anniversary gala, the celebration of life gala for Fearless. And I think what We don't think about our impact, our legacy, our light, where it's going to end up. And I appreciate it. So we've got some amazing chats, all of which I can't show at the same time. I love it. And Deb's going to remind us in a little bit. She'll get to the B in the Deb method for those who haven't been there. So Amalia's got a comment, and we're going to put it up. I want to thank you. Amalia says, we often focus on the income goal, but don't always pause to think about the life we truly want and whether our goals align. Amalia started asking herself if the life she's working towards is really in alignment with her purpose and the bigger plan for her. Does the life she thinks she wants actually bring her peace and happiness? Or is she just chasing it because it's what everyone else seems to be chasing? Mic drop. Wow. I think you're reminding us, Amalia, that sometimes in the world where some talk about the sea of sameness, the homogenization, and I love it because when Deborah invited us to journal about goals and not edit them, but just keep going back to them and then read them later with a highlighter, figure out what's important to us, is the reminder we're taking a snapshot of what we're looking for, what we seek, not what the world seeks for us, not what family members seek for us, not what other leaders, family members, friends, household members,
I,
not what your children's definition of the mom they're looking for, or your parents' definition of the child they want. The real reminder, whew, about what we're chasing.
I have a section in the second half, the strategies for success. It is a road trip theme, the whole book. And my favorite thing I like to quote is, it's no backseat drivers. Figure, and yes, there's certain people in our lives, our loved ones, whatever, they have some sort of input, I guess. Your closest family, the ones who are, I'm single. Can you tell I'm single? And my mother always encouraged everything, so I never had this issue. But apparently there are people who have other people in their lives who have opinions about their lives, whatever. When you are thinking about your goals, the things that you're creating for yourself that are maybe to build your business or in tandem with your day job, you don't love your day job, but it's your day job and it's money and you need to keep it, fine. What are you going to create on the side? Don't talk about it until you figure it out for yourself. I have this big thing about feedback. You can have a couple people you trust in your circle, but as you're creating things, this is another thing, you want to just gift yourself time to figure it out. You need to know it so well that when you share it with other people, they're not going to persuade you in the wrong direction or encourage you into the wrong direction. You need to know it well enough so you can be objective about the feedback that you get. So I guess this is the long way of saying, be careful who you share your innermost dreams with. Figure out who your champions and supporters are, but still know your ideas, know what you're creating before you share it. So you can be true to you and what you want to make, the impact you want to make into the world.
We can talk about this for another 2 hours. So we're
I
going to make
know.
sure. But the part that from the beginning part of what you said about feedback I'm allergic to. I believe in feed forward. I'm allergic to feedback because I had a boss who was a controller. He was always looking in the past. He wasn't willing to embrace new ideas. I was his first employee, and I was a creative kid with some serious operation skills. So I was the girl around to help him know his numbers. I was the HR department. I was the purchasing department. I was IT. I was HR, I was accounts receivable, I was accounts payable, I was the trainer, I was the learning and development department. So I had to have the whirling dervish. I love that Mike's reminding us find what brings you joy in the now. And this relates to one of the amazing songs that Mike sent me on Friday. He sent a beautiful song on presence. It reminded me of another really deep conversation that I had with one of our guests recently, Tracy O'Hara, for the first time on Possible Live. Started as a session title with Impossible Live, and the session was God Only Knows. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, it's a slightly different form of Mel. It's a slightly different energy, and the reminder that Deborah's bringing radiant, wonderful energy to a world that doesn't always recognize it, appreciate it. And my former employer, granted, 20 years ago, before becoming an entrepreneur full time, he didn't appreciate change. He didn't appreciate new ideas. He didn't value or appreciate opportunities unless they were opportunities for him. And the reason why I fell in love later with Feed Forward is because Feed Forward gets tied in to the person you're speaking to, into their goals, not necessarily goals of the organization. And it's really important as a leader, as a person, no matter what the relationship is, no matter who the family member is, no matter who the friend is. But as Deborah would say, I, on the other hand, because I love Feed Forward, I surround myself with people who will rarely agree with me. I surround myself with the person who's going to give me the difference of opinion, who's going to encourage the disruptor, who's going to encourage occasionally the devil's advocate, which is interesting for a woman with a pretty strong faith walk. But it's an invitation to help me always find out, as Mike says, what the joy is in my now. And that the rewards, the value statement, and and the feed forward, it doesn't always come with what we expect or what we predicted. I love Deborah's beautiful transparency, as I was reminded today after looking at a picture of my nana earlier, to remember as we're honoring the legacies of our parents and as we're inviting you to value your difference and bring it out, so your impact and your influence and you rock our fragile world. But what Carol's saying, and Deborah, we can talk for a bit here. Carol's got a statement about, for the past month, she's been literally working on what she wants her future life experience to be. And she started creating what she calls a map for the journey. She even shared tidbits with her email community of the changes to come. This encompasses personal and business, and she can't believe how timely this conversation is for where she is now, for helping her where she wants to be. And she's grateful to us for this discussion and the platform that we're providing. Mike may say it best as we're sharing amazing comments before we put you in touch with how to stay in touch with Deborah. Mike says, live life loved and loving and start with ourselves. And that's amazing. I I appreciate you and the timing of this. But Deborah, what's the B? We did your D, we did your E, and for those who didn't join us at the beginning, what is your B again? And then tell us where everyone can find you in between Impossible Lives and your amazing podcasts.
Okay, well, I need to finish the E first. So E is explore your options, figure out what you want out of life. I love what you're talking about with Feed Forward. I am all about getting challenged and inspired by your people. I'm just saying, know it well enough so you can take and run with the information that you get from your trusted tribe.
So don't fake it till you make it.
No, just make it.
I'm
There's no
teasing.
faking it.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
no faking it. There's only making it. Anyway, so you're exploring your options, and then talk to your community. See who knows the things. Do your research and pick like an alpha and a beta. What is your main goal, and what are other things that you want to, keep in the pipeline, right? So that's what explore your options is. Decide that I'm going to play with this idea for a while. I'm going to build this. Then we get to B, which is brainstorm your path. And that's where you write out all of your goals, personal, professional, long-term, short-term, benchmarks, action items. If you need new business cards, put on the list. If you need spa time once a week, put that on the list. If you want to work out more or you want to do more networking, just write everything out and then divide and conquer. So divide it into the long-term and the short-term, a personal, professional, long-term, short-term, and then categorize things. What action items are going to lead to what benchmarks are going to lead you to achieve the short-term goals, which are all in service of those long-term goals. So that is the B. So it's D, determine your mission. Can't get what you want unless you know what that is. E, explore your options. Okay, great. You want this life, but what is this life? Brainstorm your path is making a plan. And then all of this doesn't exist without setting yourself up for success. So you want this life, look at your schedule, see how much time you can commit to your goals each week, make it a calendar appointment, because if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. And the rule with this is, maybe it's an hour twice a week or a half an hour 3-4 times a week. Look at your life and see what you will and can commit to. And then if you have to, you can move an appointment, but you can't delete it. So you are gifting yourself time. You are committing to time to work toward creating this future you.
I love this. And Deborah, other than the debmethod.com,
Yes.
where else can our guests who are joining us live or for replays or catching this much later on YouTube, where can they find you?
I am at the Deb Method everywhere. So you could find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. My Substack is under Deborah Eckerling. And I have a Substack for Goal Chat, which is, Goal Deb. And I also have book proposals .substack.com for book proposals simplified. I have, as I mentioned before, 4 podcasts. One is a co-host, so 3 main ones. So Goal Chat, I go live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then the recaps you can find on the debmethod.com with also the links and the goals, because I always ask my guests to gift a goal. New episodes of Taste Buds with Deb are released every Wednesday. These are bite-sized conversations about food, cooking, and community. And every Tuesday, I release a new episode of the Book Proposal Podcast, where I am answering frequently asked questions about the book proposal and book writing process, because we all have a story. We all have a legacy. And like with your goals, you need to create this roadmap, this book proposal, to get your ideas and organized, but also it helps you drill down who your audience is and how you're going to get it in front of them. So I just, like I said, goals are my happy place, and writing books is one way to manifest your goals, because if you've got this business, this legacy, this methodology, or you've had an experience that other people need to learn from, that is your best way to get it out into the world. And of course, you can buy your goal guide and or 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting at your favorite place to buy books. I do have communities for each of these on Facebook as well. Is that enough places? Oh, and find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. That I always think is the best first connection, because when you meet new people, so I invite anyone and everyone who is tuning in, whether it's now or in the future, please drop me a note. Any friend of Melanie is a friend of mine. Let us grow our tribes and our lives that we want together.
You will love the hearts that are going up in the emojis. And Amalia is giving us our final mic drop live for today about Protecting your space matters. Surround yourself with people who truly want you to succeed, the ones who give constructive feedback instead of criticism. Protect your goals the same way. Keep them in environments that support growth, not doubt. I really appreciate that, Amalia, especially with this timing of all the conversations I've been having with people around this blood moon lunar eclipse we just had, the autumn equinox that's popping up, and the solar eclipse. There's a whole lot of energy out there. And Mike saying, find mentors that have done what you're looking to do. These are some amazing, amazing gems. And the real reminder, Amalia might have given it to us in the invitation, as Deborah said before, share your dreams with discernment in sacred spaces where they're treasured by others and they're protected in their vault, not in a situation where someone may appear. They have kind words to say. They may volunteer and ask for you to be their mentor. Be really careful the intellectual property that you're sharing, the places you're sharing it, the access you give others, sometimes to your passwords, sometimes to your intellectual property, whether in AI you're sharing to build others' knowledge base. And as Deborah's joining us for today, value your difference in every possible way. It's one of my favorite pens. I'm going to locate it shortly from an amazing company called Prodia, a Swiss company, and that I absolutely love. They inspired the title. But Deborah has joined us today. We want to thank you for staying with us live. We still have lots of live guests. We have really amazing information in the chat. Thank you so much. If we haven't had a chance to connect with you live, please click on the links in our profiles and reach out. Let's have a conversation. And thank you for your amazing support of Impossible Live, because Mel almost stopped Impossible Live this month. And I want to thank you. Yes, it's a reminder, value your light, value your voice, value the spaces in which you show up. And when people you really care about go silent, reach out to them, because a quiet voice needs a little love to be seen, heard, and valued. And Deborah and everyone, on that note, final virtual toast of the day. Thank you for joining us and for gracing this amazing space. And Deborah, for your amazing, wow, contagious energy. And Meryl, for doing the Meryl magic of inviting the world. Thank you so much. Be well and stay
Thank
safe,
you.
stay well, stay inspired, stay in touch. Have a magnificent day filled with blessings, opportunities, and possibilities. And let's be careful out there.